Hello folks, hopefully you're all doing well. This is going to be a video just to take you through some bits and bobs to do with You Will Be Found. And this can be for, really this video is going to be for any voice part. There'll be some things I'll focus on which might mention your voice part specifically. But obviously I just want to go through the marked up score. So I've marked up all the scores. The master copy really is the all parts score, which you can see on the screen. I've got two screens, so if I keep on looking this way, I'm still here. So if I just go through, I've marked up and highlighted where different parts are not singing on their own, as in they are singing the same thing as other parts. I'm just going to talk you through this initially, because some of this is going to unfold with rehearsals that we're doing. So as the song starts, tenors and basses are on the tune, and basically the tune, or where people are in unison, is marked as a yellow highlighted section. And we can see that actually for that first 22 bars, tenors and basses are together with no one else singing. Now at the next point, the tenors and basses are still together, they're in yellow. The sopranos are all singing together. The altos are all singing together as well. Okay, so at this point we have three-part harmony. As we move on, now this is, I'm aware, for sopranos and sometimes even altos, there's some really low notes in from bar 27 through, especially the word ground in bar 29. Now this is not a problem. Everybody has the tune at this point. Everybody's singing exactly the same thing. So if you are a soprano 1, the basses are singing the same thing, and they might well be a little bit on the high side. They've got a high E for them on carry you, but they've also got the low E on ground. Now, therefore, only sing the notes you're comfortable with. So if you need to go even when the dark, miss a word out, crashing through, when you need a friend, carry you, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so you can miss words out there if they are not in your comfortable range. What we want is you to sing at this point in your comfortable range. Also, we are not changing the octave of anything up in this song. Okay, there's a few occasions where basses will be able to move their part an octave down, but there is no occasion where you can sing the written part an octave up. That just isn't going to happen. The reason is I want a unison sound of everybody singing exactly the same thing at bar 27. If you can't sing some of those notes because either for the basses they're too high, or for the sopranos or altos they're too low, then miss those words out. Everybody's singing the same thing, so therefore it will be absolutely fine. The alternative was to only give it, for example, to tenors and alto 2s, but I didn't want to do that because a lot of those notes you will be able to sing, if not all of them. Please don't try and sing the word ground in bar 29 unless you can do that with some quality. Obviously, we don't want people kind of making a funny kind of sound to try and get that. There's going to be lots of other people singing that note who it is in their sweet spot in their range. When we hit into the first quiet chorus, we get into three-part harmony again on the You Will Be Found. So you'll see the You Will Be Founds in harmony, and then we're back in to all singing unison tune. Again, the same thing. You don't need to sing those low notes if you can't, or the high notes if you can't. Just miss them out. It's in unison. It's lots of yellow here. We get the You Will Be Found in three-part harmony again. Okay, and then we have got some more three-part harmony. Sopranos and altos are still just doing the same thing. So sopranos are all together, altos are all together, and tenors and basses are singing together. And that continues up there until bar 47. Okay, so really up until bar 47, it is not in 6 parts. And I'll come to what this means in a little bit. And when it comes to sessions and things, we've looked at this. So it means that you'll be able to attend more sessions than maybe you currently think you will. When we hit into bar 47, so I'd call that like the first part of the song. And we'll go through that in a little bit. Bar 47. Bar 47, you will notice that tenors and basses are in pink now. This is because they're not on the tune. Okay, so when they're on the tune, they're in yellow, but if they're just singing a tenor and bass part and they're together, pink is their colour. Okay, you'll notice there that the R's are in 3-part harmony. The section leaders will tell you some stuff about the R's. There's going to be a little bit on the guide tracks of a modification of the sound from an or to an R. But again, your section leaders will take you through that when you get to that point in the song. I'm not going to go over it too much now, but it's more of an or sound into an R. And again, as ever, the mantra in this is go with the guide tracks, except when I've done them wrong. And I will let you know about those points. The section leaders are checking with me and the music team are checking with me. There are a couple of things where I've not quite gone with the score, and hence they are mistakes that you need to be aware of. But there's not too many, hopefully. There's a place that we don't have to feel unknown. Again, if there's high stuff in there, if you're an alto too, and some of that stuff is a little bit high, you don't have to be singing the higher notes because sopranos and altos are all singing that as a unison tune. Okay? From across the silence, exactly the same. Okay? Obviously, if you're an alto too and you don't particularly like those A's, you don't have to worry too much because there's the 3 parts on top of you are singing those notes. Okay, we go back into 3-part harmony at bar 60. You'll see that the altos are together, the sopranos are together, tenors and basses are doing the same thing as well, which continues through. And at this point, you're thinking, well, when does it go into 6 parts? Later. So up to bar 67. Basically, I would say that this is pretty much a 3-part song. There are some instances, there are some notes every once in a while where they are not the same. In that point, there's not many of them, to be frank, but there is just a couple that aren't exactly the same. But the vast majority of those parts, you are normally doubling up with another voice part, or you're singing the melody together in unison. So up to the first 67 bars, I think it is, pretty much 67 bars. Yeah, 67 bars. You are pretty much doing the same thing. As altos, you're doing pretty much the same thing. Tenors and basses, you're doing the same thing. Sopranos, you're doing the same thing. That does mean that those soprano 1 and soprano 2 sessions, if you are a soprano 1, you will be able to attend a lot of the soprano 2 sessions and vice versa. And there's going to be information in a little bit where I just go through what we basically split the song into 3 bits. So we've got part 1, part 2, part 3, and therefore part 1 and part 2 you will be able to attend any of the soprano sessions or any of the alto sessions or any of the tenor or bass sessions if you're that matched up part. And you'll notice in the audio folder there are guide tracks where you've got 1 soprano through one ear and 1 soprano through the other ear, soprano 1, soprano 2, and that's basically because a lot of the time those parts are doing the same thing, but then when they are different, it's really easy to tell where the differences lie. So, bar 68. When we get to bar 68, this is when it starts to unravel, not in a bad way, but it starts to have, there's a little bit of call and response coming here. There's little O's and R's. And you'll notice here that it's still coloured. You'll notice that there's a lot less colours. Okay? We've got an awful lot of little call and response stuff where there are individual parts. So really, from 68 onwards, this section would be something that you will be, I would imagine, mostly rehearsing in your separate section. So soprano 1 sectionals would not be the same then as soprano 2 sectionals. There is still some stuff where there is some doubling up of parts. You'll see there's a pink section and some yellow section. But as you go through, you will then notice that as you get to kind of about 84, it really splits up, goes back together into 3-part, and then it keeps on kind of splitting up and being kind of together. From bar 100, you'll notice that there's no doubling really there at all, really. There's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of you doing your own specific part. Now, just quickly tracking back, sorry, my office light has gone off in my office. 1 second. Now, it's motion activated, so apologies that it's just I've just got a little bit dark. Now, there's a little colour here, the turquoise highlight, which is actually where alto twos and tenors are singing together. There's only one point in the song where the altos, twos, and the tenors actually sing the same part there, and that's because the alto ones we've put with the soprano part. Okay, now there's not a massive issue with that. It's therefore the basses at that point you're not singing anything, not because you couldn't. But because actually we want that little bit of lightness, so that therefore when you come in on bar 100, we get that bit of additional oomph that basses can give. So basses, you do have a 4-bar rest there. That's not a typo. So yeah, so all the different coloured things, and if I quickly zoom out from here, you will see anytime that there's colour, that is a time when it is not in 6 parts, that there's doubling up of those parts. There's an awful lot of the song which is not in 6 parts. So yeah, so just to let you know what the highlighting on the scores means. Now in the guide track folder, and you've all had access to this, there is audio tracks and score. Now in the score folder, where it says marked up scores, I've marked up, for example, the alto 1, alto 2. So if I just quickly go into alto 1, you will see that the same colour scheme is there in the alto 1. Yellow means that it's melody unison, at which point you don't have to worry if you've not got some of those low or high notes. Blue means you and the alto 1s and 2s are together. And green means the alto 1s, you're actually singing with the sopranos for a little bit. Now, if you imagine there, a lot of the time for that first part of the song, you are therefore, if you look there, really, for the first like 56 bars, you're basically not singing a part on your own, you're singing with the other altos. Okay, there's a little bit of you alto 1s moving with the sopranos, just so you're aware, and then you're back with the altos. You've got your own first bit of kind of harmony in bar 72 on the take you home, and then you're back into duetting with the altos, with the alto 2s. On the you will be found, you're on your own harmony part. You're back again with the alto 2s in bar 88. You spend a little bit of time with the sopranos in bar 96 through bar 99. You are then on your own again for a few bars on the You Are Not Alones, which is the call and response rhythmic bit. You're back again with the alto 2s on bar 104. And then you're apart, kind of together, and then you're apart again. So you'll notice that there's a lot of you going back to doing unison stuff with the other alto part. So just be aware of that. And there will be the ability for you to therefore, if there's an alto 2 part, if you're an alto 1, if there's an alto 2 part that is rehearsing, like for example the first 2 bits of this song that we've basically cut it up into, then you'll be able to attend those rehearsals because you're singing the same part. The same applies to sopranos and for tenors and basses. So yeah, so that score is all marked up for you in these folders. I did them all last night. You see that they're finished about just before 10 o'clock last night, just marking those up for you. So hopefully that should be useful. Obviously, if you do, again, the unmarked scores are still there if you want to therefore be doing anything yourself with your score, and that's absolutely fine. The video tracks, we're aware, are already all there for you. They're on YouTube, but they are there for you to be able to look at if you want to. And they're all in there. Timetable's important information isn't anything in there at the moment, but there will be. So just be aware on that. The conductor tracks are not there yet, but they will be slightly later on in the process. So obviously that folder has everything you need, and please make sure you're listening to the updated tracks. The updated tracks are not the same as the original tracks. Once the score got done, we moved some parts around and made the voices, the voice ranges a little bit better. Now, at any point, if the voice, again, some of these parts are quite rangy. I'm just gonna yes, I've managed to get the light on again. Some of these voice parts are quite rangy. We know that the song is quite rangy, but a lot of the rangy bits for your specific part, so for example when it goes very low or very high, somebody else is singing that line. Okay, so don't worry too much. If it's marked as yellow, you don't have to worry if you can't hit any of those notes. Lots of other people are singing that part. And even if it's not marked yellow, you don't have to worry anyway, because there's lots of people who will be able to get those notes. So don't put yourself under any pressure. If it's a bit high for you, just don't sing those notes, mime those notes, and that's absolutely fine. If it's a bit low for you, exactly the same. Just sing the notes you're comfortable with. And again, don't be worrying too much. As we said earlier on, the general mantra is to go with the guide tracks. Their section leaders and session leaders and music team are picking up on some things where I've made a couple of little errors. There's a couple of things on the tracks where I'm not very clear with a word, or I'm not very clear with a note. There are actually quite a lot of occasions where the track is what you need to follow and not quite the score. There's a couple of things. Lots of this song, there is lots of bounces from a note underneath upwards into. So for example, even when the dark comes crashing through, it's written as even when the dark comes crashing through. Okay. However, as it's sung is even when the dark comes crashing through, when you need a friend to carry you, when you're broken. So there's lots of note under, up. The score gets a lot of them, but there's a couple on the score that are written as if you don't do that little move upwards. Pretty much any time that a phrase begins, you're pretty much starting on the note down and moving up. So if you ever have a question on those, go with the tracks. Go with the tracks. It's not the end of the world because a lot of these are really, really short little notes, but it would be appreciated if on those cases you go with the tracks. And obviously if you want to, again, some of you aren't score readers, so you'll be fine with the tracks. Some of you are score readers, and again, generally go with the tracks. If you want to notate it on your own score, that's fine. But a lot of the differences are quite small. They're quite small. And again, I think in this song, it'll be about feeling it as opposed to being too overly kind of technical with you must sing exactly the notes at the right time. There's quite a lot of feeling and emotion in this song. And hopefully as you get into the song, these things will happen quite naturally. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, yes. So just let me quickly... in fact, no, that won't work. So that's the first bit of this video done. I will put another one up, but that's really just explaining what the score means and what the colours on the score means. And also, really do not worry about high notes or low notes because you can miss any of those notes out. There's always going to be people who are singing in a different voice part who are normally hitting those high or low notes, probably a lot easier than you are. And again, when the information comes out on the part 1, part 2, part 3, I'll be putting information out on what that means. Basically, part 1 for example, the sopranos will be a certain bar to a certain bar. So it means that if you're going to a notes and breaths and words session and it says part 1, you'll know that, for example, I think you're like working to about bar 47. Again, don't quote me on that. I'll need to check that on the internet. I'll put it out on Facebook and on the info. But yeah, the bar numbers is what you'll be looking at. Okay, so for example, you'll know that part 1 for sopranos, you're looking at the first 47 bars. For part 2, it might be bar 47 to bar 68, and then part 3 is bar 68 to the end. And this will be so that basically means that all sopranos can go to part 1 and part 2, regardless whether it's soprano 1 or soprano 2. But then part 3 is when the song starts going into its 6-part harmony. Then you'll make sure that you know that if you're a soprano 1 and you're trying to do part 3 of the song, you need to just go to soprano 1 sessions and not be able to go to soprano 2 sessions because their part is so different there that it will actually be detrimental to you as opposed to helpful to you. So timetables are out relatively soon. We had a music team meeting a couple of days ago to chat about this. They're filling in the timetables at the moment. As ever, you've got links on the Facebook group, but you've also got the Rehearsal app that obviously Ian has put together that has links to the scores. It has links to the tracks, it has links to everything you need, and it has links to the rehearsal times as well. So again, that's been emailed out, so you can access that, and it's on the Facebook members group as well. We do have a youth stream, and there'll be a different video about the youth stream coming up very soon. Starts at 11 o'clock on Saturday. That's Saturday the 4th of July. We start at 11 o'clock in the morning. If you know any young people, we've said kind of up to 21. However, what I will say on that is, because youth barbershop, as in labs and babs and fusion and all those things, often goes to 25 or 26. Please, if you are between the ages of 21 and 26, and you would like to attend some of those youth rehearsals, it does not mean you can't. At all. It just means that you, obviously at that age, you may well be wanting to go into the main rehearsals, but again, we'd still appreciate some of those people between 21 and 26 to come into those youth rehearsals, almost to act as kind of role models, so those younger singers can obviously kind of see those kind of older singers that they'll potentially be looking up to, and that you can be kind of almost kind of helping out, as well as learning the song yourself. Youth singers will be able to sing any part they like, and we'll be going through it all in one Zoom room, and then we'll be running the rehearsal from within one Zoom session. And then if we need to, we can go into breakout rooms, etc., etc. So if you know any young people up to the age of 26, but kind of to the age of 21 and then 26, probably you can work yourself out, you can then attend. But we'd just like to get as many young people involved. It's a great song, something they can really get their teeth stuck into. So if you know anyone who's into musical theatre, they'll probably know this song already and might want to get involved. I'll do an extra video on that as well. So that's it from me at the moment, about 20 minutes, which is about what I wanted to do for this general just lowdown of the song. There'll be some other videos and things coming out to help you with rehearsing. There'll be information about what we're doing called education sessions. I've got an education session on Saturday about how to use guide tracks to learn a song, but there's other education sessions that will be popping up, possibly maybe about one or so a day. And again, there's more information coming, and again, there's tech support sessions that Ian is doing each day. So again, we're continuing to give as much support as we can to you all, to make sure you have the best experience possible. So thank you very much, folks. I'll look forward to seeing you soon. There'll be more videos coming, and yeah, take care. Thank you.